Hello students, how are you all doing? Hope you and your family members are at the best of your healths. I, Mrs. Usha Vasani, welcome you all to the RKC Online Social Studies class. Today we are going to start with a new chapter, and that is chapter number 6, the hot deserts. I have divided this chapter in 4 parts for better understanding. So let's get started on our exciting journey with part 1 of this chapter. Students, do you know that 20% of the world's land surface is desert? Let me tell you in simple words that around 1/3 of the Earth's surface is covered in deserts. Areas covered in ice or snow can sometimes be called as cold deserts compared to the hot deserts in warmer area. So children, the learning objectives of this learning or of this chapter part 1 would be to understand how the deserts are formed, that is formation of desert. Rather first, let us understand what are deserts. Then we'll know something about the formation of deserts. We'll learn about different types of deserts, and also I will teach you how to mark these deserts on the map. So let's begin our exciting journey. Do you know what animal is this and where it is found? Of course you all know it. This is a camel and it is found in deserts. Children, deserts are found in both the hemispheres, that is, in the northern hemisphere as well as in the southern hemisphere. Let us first understand what is a desert. Basically, a desert is an arid, that is very dry biome. They get less than 25 centimeters, that is almost 9.8 inches of rainfall every year. Another source defines it as any region that can have a moisture deficit over a course of year. Deficit means almost no moisture over the course of a period. Now, in other words, it is an area which receives scanty, that is very less rainfall, that is almost less than 25 centimeters per annum, or no rainfall at all. Mainly there are 3 types of deserts: hot deserts or tropical deserts, temperate deserts and cold deserts. Now let us understand each one of them in a very detailed way, and let me explain you with some of the examples so that it is clear in your mind. Children, deserts which are found between 15° to 30° north and south of the equator are hot deserts or tropical deserts. They lie near the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Here the sun beats down from a cloudless sky. There is almost cloudless sky over the deserts. It is cloudless because there are no water bodies in the desert, and hence there is no evaporation happening, and ultimately there is no warm air which goes up in the form of water vapor or the air full of moisture which rises up generally. That does not happen here in the desert region, and hence there is no formation of clouds. So here the sky is cloudless. You can see on your screen there is a slide beside wherein you can see yellow part, and that part denotes the desert area of the world. You can see all the continents, and the yellow part denotes the hot deserts which are found on the earth. you can see the line of equator, and above the equator in the north side is Tropic of Cancer, and below the equator in the south side is Tropic of Capricorn. So you can see that nearing to Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, there are many desert areas found, and these deserts are hot deserts or tropical deserts. Now let us understand that why are these deserts here? Why are they found near this latitude? Now first let us understand why are the deserts found at 30 degree on the earth. Most of the world's deserts are located near 30 degree north latitude and 30 degree south latitude, where the heated equatorial air begins to descend. The descending air is dense and begins to warm again, evaporating large amount of water from the land surface. And the resulting climate is very dry, means it becomes so dry and barren that there is almost no moisture left on that area, and hence that area is then converted into desert area, and hence they are the desert area of the world, and most of the desert area are found near to the equator. Now let us understand some of the examples of hot deserts, because in this chapter it is basically that we are going to study about the hot deserts, though I will be briefing you through what are the different types of deserts, but mainly we will focus on the hot deserts of the world. First, let us understand some of the examples of hot deserts. Sahara Desert. It is located in North Africa. It is the world's largest hot desert. In Arabic, the Sahara is called as Al-Sahara Al-Kubra or the Great Desert. In Arabic, word Sahara means desert. So this is the world's largest desert, and it is located in the north part of Africa. The other example is Kalahari Desert. It is a large basin-like plain of the interior plateau of southern Africa. It occupies almost all of Botswana. It emerges with Namib, the coastal desert of Namibia. There is also another desert found in Namibia, and that is near to the sea, and hence that is a coastal desert. But mainly we are focusing on the hot desert. So I'm just giving you the information that there is one more desert area near the sea part of Africa, and that is desert of Namibia. Children, now let us talk about one of the desert areas of the world, and that is the Great Australian Desert. Students, now if you remember, in our first chapter we had studied about different continents of the world, and out of that the smallest continent is Australia, if you remember. There are two unique features, even we had discussed that there are two unique features in Australia, that is, first of all, it is a country as well as a continent. It is also an island, means it is surrounded by water on all the sides. But still, the unique feature is it has got sea, it is surrounded by the sea on all the sides, and though it has the great desert area also. Children, you will wonder to know that there are 10 different deserts found in Australia. Almost 70% of the mainland receives very less rain, that is almost less than 500 millimeter of rain annually, which classifies that most part of Australia is arid or semi-arid. Arid means dry or less dry, but almost the 70% of area of Australia is arid. While the Simpson and the Great Victoria deserts are best known, and almost different areas of Australia has 10 deserts. Now you will ask that most of the Australian area, is it a desert? Then I would say you that Australia is a landscape, but apart from Antarctica, Australia is the driest continent in the world. About 35% of the continent receives very less rainfall, and so effectively it is a desert. The Great Sandy Desert, which the picture I am showing you on the slide on the screen, that is the Great Sandy Desert, and that is located across northwest of Central Australia. It contains two of the country's most famous parks, the Rudolph River National Park and Uluru Kata Tuchata National Park, where the famous Aries rock is located. So this is a very unique desert because it is in Australia, and the uniqueness of it is, though that area is surrounded by water on all the sides, it has got large area of desert also. Let us know about the Atacama Desert in Chile, that is South America. It forms part of the arid Pacific fringe of South America. Means it is a land strip which is near the Pacific Ocean, and that is a part of South America. It is one of the driest regions in the world. Chile, the driest spot on the earth, is even more remarkable. You know how? Because there are many places here where rain has never been recorded. Means since decades there has not been any time rain droplets on this area. Yet there are hundreds of species of vascular plants growing there. Now vascular plants means the plants which are seed bearing plants, and surprisingly around 1 million of people call Atacama Desert as their home, crowding into coastal fishing villages, mining areas and oasis towns. Inhabitants grow, means the people living there grow dry weather produce such as olives, tomatoes and cucumbers, and herd alpacas for a living. This desert area is basically very famous for mining copper. Isn't it wonderful to know about this driest part of the world? The Mexican desert. There is larger part of Mexico which is almost a desert area. The Sonoran Desert in North American desert, it is the North American desert which covers the large part of southwestern United States in Arizona and California, and of northwestern Mexico in Sonora. It is the hottest desert in Mexico. So basically this is the southern or the southwestern Arizona and southeastern California where this Mexican desert is located. Let us talk about the Thar Desert, which is in Rajasthan in our own India. It is also known as the Great Indian Desert. Basically, the Great Indian Desert is spread over 4 states of India, namely Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat, and 2 states in Pakistan as well. This area is very dry and very arid. It also forms the natural border between India and Pakistan. But the saddest part is the increase of human and livestock population in the desert has led to a deterioration in the ecosystem, which is resulting in degradation of soil fertility and vegetation. That is of course again in our hands to get back the or to save the ecosystem of our own country. So we need to be aware about and responsible human being about our own country. As I told you that the Great Indian Desert forms a natural boundary between India and Pakistan. So children, now what is Thar Desert called in Pakistan? It is known as Rohi in Pakistan and it covers the area of Bahawalpur, Punjab, Pakistan. It joins Thar Desert in Rajasthan, India. Students, how are deserts formed? Let us understand that how these deserts are formed. Hot deserts are formed because the wind belt they fall under brings dry winds from the inland instead of rain-bearing winds from the sea. Deserts are formed due to deforestation also, because of which the topsoil is blown away and the infertile soil is left behind. These are basically two reasons how the desert areas are formed. Let us understand types of deserts. There are basically three types of deserts: hot deserts, temperate deserts, and cold deserts. We saw previously a few examples of hot deserts, out of which there were Sahara and Kalahari Desert in Africa, Atacama in South America, Thar Desert in India, etc. We saw or we studied about the hot deserts. Now, what is temperate desert? We will understand temperate and cold deserts gradually after this. But let us tell you one example of temperate desert, and that is Gobi Desert in Mongolia, that is in China. One of the examples of cold desert is the tundra in Russia, which is in Europe. So these are three types of deserts. Now let us understand what is the meaning of temperate desert. What are temperate deserts? Children, temperate deserts are also called the cold wind deserts. The cool deserts of Central Asia have a very extreme climate with hot summers and very cold winters because they are at higher latitudes and are far away from the sea. Mongolia, there is one desert which I told you earlier in the previous slide. I told you that the Gobi Desert of Mongolia is a very good example of temperate desert. Children, deserts typically defined as arid areas with low rainfall and sparse, that is very little vegetation, exist throughout the world. But temperate deserts, in contrast to the deserts of tropical regions, that is near the equator, are characterized by temperature fluctuations throughout the year, means with cold winters and warm summers. They are actually home to surprisingly large number of animals and plants. Temperate deserts are found in the latitude between tropical and polar regions. They typically have similar aridity to the lower temperatures than the tropical deserts. Examples include deserts in North America such as Great Basin and Atacama Desert in Chile, along with arid regions across Eurasia and China. You must be wondering that I explained you about Atacama Desert, saying that it is a hot desert is because it is included according to its location on the latitude. It is also a hot desert because the temperate desert have a feature that they have warm summers and cold winters. So at times Atacama Desert is very dry and it soars the temperature to very high in summers, but at the same time it is very cold during the winters. So these are the few examples of temperate deserts. Let us understand what are cold deserts. Students, other articles say that where the cold desert is discussed, it is discussed as the cold deserts occur in the temperate region but at the higher latitude. Therefore, because of its height or because of its higher latitude, the location of it is at higher latitude, they are known as the coldest areas. Now, cold deserts are also called the polar deserts. Cold deserts are found between the poles and the Arctic and the Antarctic circles. In the cold deserts, temperatures are extremely low and these deserts do not have any significant vegetation because the soil is frozen throughout the year and hence there cannot be any vegetation significantly growing there. The Antarctic polar desert covers the continent of Antarctica and has a size of about 5.5 million square miles. And the second largest desert is the Arctic polar desert. These are the cold deserts found in both the polar regions, that is in between the Arctic Circle and North Pole, and the other one in between Arctic Circle and the South Pole. One more example which we discussed earlier is the tundra desert of Russia. So this is all about the deserts, means there are mainly three types of deserts: hot desert, temperate deserts and the cold desert. I hope children, now you are probably clear with the idea that what are deserts. There are basically three types of deserts found in the world. We discussed hot desert, few examples we studied about hot deserts. We discussed about what are temperate deserts, what are cold deserts. We discussed that basically how are these deserts formed. Children, now I want you all to buy a map of the world and also try to locate the deserts of the world on map. In the next slide, I will be showing you the map work and I would want you to go and buy the map of world and try to mark or locate the deserts of the world, which is also given in your textbook on page number 36. So now let us learn how to mark the deserts of the world. This is the map work which I would want you to buy a map of world and try to locate the deserts on your own. First you take the help of your textbook and then you can try it on your own. See children, first you should see that where is equator. I hope you are able to see where is equator, which is in the center. Then you can see from equator to north side is Tropic of Cancer and from equator to south side is Tropic of Capricorn. So these are basically hot deserts. So we are going to learn to mark the hot deserts for time being. So now children, we will start from the north side, that is from equator towards the north. You can see first the Mexican desert, which is at the end part, which is at the southern part of North America. So please mark Mexican desert there. Then moving towards the region of Africa, the continent of Africa has a very large part of desert, and so only Sahara Desert is the largest desert of the world. You can see that from equator to Tropic of Cancer, most part of Sahara Desert is there, and so it is the hottest desert of the world. Then you can see Arabian Desert, Iranian Desert, and lastly you can see the Thar Desert, that is India, which is in Rajasthan. Then now from equator towards the Tropic of Capricorn, again from the left if we see, Atacama Desert is in the north part of South America. Rather you can say more towards north or central of South America is Atacama Desert. You can see some part of Atacama is in the Tropic of Capricorn and some part of Atacama is in below the Tropic of Capricorn, and hence as I told you it has unique and the distinct type of climate. It is hot in summers and very cold in winters. So this is about Atacama Desert. Then coming towards the southern part of Africa, that is Namib in South Africa and Kalahari Desert also in South Africa. Then moving towards the Australian desert, that is in Australia, and most of its part, more than half part, that is, I said you that 40% of Australia is covered with desert. So children, when you mark, please put a dot, and if you cannot fit in the whole spelling of the desert, then you can pull out an arrow. Just make a circle there, dot there, big dot, and then pull out an arrow and write the whole name, that is, for example, Atacama, or example, Australian desert. But you need to mark absolutely in the continent where it is located. That should be particularly learnt and studied, that which desert is located. You cannot mark Sahara Desert in Australia or Mexican desert in South America. You have to be very careful that in which desert which continent these deserts are located. If you can do it, you can take a yellow color pencil color and try to make a little part yellow where you're marking the desert. But that's not compulsory. If you can make it neatly, only then you use the pencil color. Otherwise, make a dot with a pencil, pull out an arrow and write the name of the desert. Only the thing is that I want you to know where these deserts are exactly located, in which continent. And this term, rather in this form, you are going to learn only hot deserts. So time being, you have to remember only these many deserts. So I hope you will do it carefully. So this is all about today's learning. As I told you, into this video, this chapter I have divided into 4 parts, and in this part we have studied about what is desert, how the deserts are formed, why it is at 30 degree, why it is known as hot desert, or why it is known as temperate or cold desert. So this is all about the learning of today. Now I think we will meet again in the next video, second part of the chapter. I hope you all have enjoyed today's learning. So this was all about the part 1 of chapter number 6, hot desert. Thank you and stay safe. See you soon with part 2 of hot deserts. Till then, stay home, stay safe, keep learning.